I think right now we are ready to announce our next speaker, Alex Chernenko, CEO at Translit. Alex, are you with us? Probably Alex is joining. So Alex will be talking about the latest trends in multimedia localization, and he will also announce name of the book that he will be giving as a gift to the person with the best question. Hey, Alex.
Hi, Max. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. As far as I know, you are joining us from a nice Irish city, Limerick.
That's correct. Well, today is not this nice. We got a rain as usually. How is the weather in Russia today?
Russia is big, I don't know, but probably it's okay. So, Alex, I think that you are all prepared for presenting the screen and starting to share the best insights about multimedia localization. Alex, please announce what the book is, what we will give as a gift.
The book is Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. It's one of my desk books, and I highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't read it.
Okay, I believe one of the habits is to listen to great, interesting presentations. So the floor is yours. Take the mic and let's start.
Thank you for having me. So today we're going to talk about disruptive trends in multimedia localization, speech-to-text, and video streaming. Well, to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm the CEO and founder of Translit. So we are an ISO-certified language company providing all the classical services, but our focus is on the interpreting and voice services such as voiceover. We have two technologies: remote interpreting delivery platform, and we have a marketplace for interpreters of voice talents. I'm a former localization engineer and tester myself, been in the industry for the past 20 years, and I used to speak 6 languages, believe it or not. Now it's only 3. So let's look at what's been happening in the world. Before 2020, we enjoyed in-person meetings, conferences, live events. And then during 2020, everything went virtual and online. People had to learn to work remotely. We had limited or no travel at all. And what that did is sparked the use of video services and video content by people who've been sitting at homes and lockdowns, by different businesses. And one of the digital media trends survey by Deloitte showed that the streaming video service increased by 23%. And that data is actually a little bit out of date. The number is already higher. The popular video streaming services such as YouTube saw an increase of 45% just in the first 6 months of 2020. And surprisingly, you will see that actually mobile viewing of YouTube has decreased, and the TV connected service has increased to more than a third of the consumption. You know, people have been searching for various services, various keywords of how to do things, and we see this increase of video consumption. If you look further at YouTube statistics, they've been able to grow their premium subscribers from 18 million in 2019 to 30 million last year, and of course their revenue grown. When we look about video consumption and how many people are actually using YouTube, the latest statistics suggest that 74% of adults in US use YouTube, and 80% of US-based children use YouTube. That numbers would be slightly lower outside of US, but they would be still close enough. Other popular video streaming service such as Netflix has seen the same increase in users from 167 million in 2019 to over 200 million in last year. And of course, the time spent watching Netflix also increased to more than 3 hours per person. There's other players such as Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, Disney, they've also seen this trend, and they started adding localization, because one of the ways, of course, to grow revenue and reach further audiences is to localize. Like YouTube is already localized in more than 100 countries and more than 80 languages. So other service providers such as Disney Plus, they also add in localization to grow their users. And they launched in April last year Disney Hotstar in India, and they're expecting to grow to 60 to 90 million of subscribers. The revenue of the digital media market is expected to grow to over 400 billion by 2025. We also see a trend of the touchless devices. Of course, with the hygiene concerns, people tend to use speech recognition devices taking controls at their homes. And we also see conferences and businesses adding devices that would limit the amount of personal touch and the screen. So instead of screens, voice commands are getting popular. It's something that's been on the market for a while with Siri, Google Assistant, other, but we are seeing that trend increased in 2020 because of the hygiene concerns. And of course, event industry, they've seen this concept of hybrid, and the hybrid is now coming to our reality, not just for events, but for other areas, which I'm going to cover in a second. An interesting survey was done by Swapcart that showed that a lot of event organizers like Smartcat and Log from Home have moved virtual. More than 75% already are adding virtual experience to their attendees. So we are now seeing this trend that events that have been only done offline before, now adding a second audience of virtual users. And this trend will continue. So even the physical events would still offer virtual experience to their attendees. And there are many benefits for event organizers. You get more attendees, further reach, of course, inclusivity for people who couldn't travel, but now they can enjoy the full experience in this virtual setting using virtual platforms like Remo and many others. And it gives choice now to attendees, to speakers, to kind of travel or access the event from home. And we are talking about language content interpreters. They also started to work remotely, which wasn't that popular before 2020. Because of the virtual experience events, we are seeing now pre-recorded videos that are shown. And Smartcat, to give you credit, you are doing all your presentations live, which is a thumbs up. So keep up with this. But some other events, they use this hybrid approach or mainly pre-recorded videos. And to talk about speech recognition, live captioning, and automated subtitles is now a very hot topic. There's a lot of technology advances that happen in this sector. But we're still asking, how accurate is speech to text? Can we still trust the machine to be doing it? The most recent benchmark for the transcription services, that came from March last year, showed that there's still about 15 to 20% error between popular service providers. So there is a huge room for improvement, but this technology gets better and better, and every year they get 1 or 2% extra. So when we look at the speech development sector, we saw an increase of acceptance. So now finally, the speech to text services are actually getting more recognized and widely adopted by other players. There were two interesting researches, one by Markets and Markets, another one by Data Breach Market. They showed that this industry of speech technology is actually growing at a 20% rate. And in the next couple of years, it's expected to hit close to $4 billion US. In terms of media localization, with live captioning and transcription, foreign subtitles is something that the audience is using. And, that hasn't been popular before, but now we see movies with foreign subtitles actually getting the top Oscars. And for example, this movie Parasite, it was the first film that was originally not in English, but with the help of subtitles, it won 4 Academy Awards, including the Best Picture Oscar. So we see this trend of subtitles getting across, not just from English to other languages, but from other languages to English and getting recognized. Amazon Prime Video Researchers just announced a recent technology that would improve the quality detection of subtitles by up to 89% accuracy. So they're actually testing human subtitles and detecting errors. Imagine that this combination with automated transcription, automated translation, and the automation quality check would already improve this system to up to 90% quality guarantee, which is amazing, and we're going to see that even improving over the years. Dubbing, of course, still remains popular. So some people prefer subtitles, some people prefer to listen to audio in their own language. And again, we see this trend of foreign movies getting recognized and getting to the top of Netflix 10 agenda list, like the series called Lupin from France. It's the first actually show that got that high rank. Netflix invested heavily into getting original human-powered narration services and dubbing, and they still invest in it. But now we have this new technology that's really jumped at us, which is speech synthesis. Essentially, it's a computer-generated voice that sounds natural and is almost indistinguishable from human. There was a research done by University of California, Riverside, in 2019 that already showed that some of the computer-generated voice is indistinguishable to an average human ear. Last year, that jumped, and at the forefront, we have Nuance, who is already offering firms to construct their own enterprise intelligence systems. So you can basically put any text and you can hear it with all sorts of accents in any language you want. This hasn't been available to us widely before. Now it's coming to masses, it's coming to businesses, it's coming to clients, offering that truly multilingual customer service AI power generation. Other companies worth mentioning, Voice IT builds speech recognition algorithms and voice databases by working with people to have a typical speech pattern. So now we are researching into speeches that haven't been popular or widely used, and there is still a room for improvement. For developers who want to build intelligent voice assistant, they could use Rasa X with some free tools. And of course, this industry requires some sort of standardization. So open voice network is actually an emerging trend that promotes standardization in the speech development engines. Another technology that came to our life and again boosted in 2020, it's deepfakes. So, people, you already tried it, just upload an image, which even a poor quality, to a video, and it will show with your face. This technology has become so advanced, it's now possible to apply to movies. So when you think of it this way, the deepfakes promoted the next development of synthetic lip sync. So where the original character would actually move their lips according to the language. And this leads to synthetic dubbing concept. So you just have original actor speaking in the language with the correct lip sync in the target language, which again hasn't been widely adopted before, but now we see it already happening. Two interesting researchers are talking on this subject. One was done by Google and DeepMind, which is called large-scale multilingual audiovisual dubbing, and they actually explain how this concept of translating and then translating the content, then dubbing it, and then ensuring the lip sync. And another research towards automated face-to-face translation by Prajval. And they've presented this LibGun framework, which shows how audio spectrogram and video frames come together to produce a truly visual experience where the actor would speak, moving their lips in the target language. A couple of companies that raised significant money last year, and this year included, was Descript, was mentioning with their 30 million in fundraising, and they introduced the concept of voice cloning, where you could take anyone's voice and just reproduce it completely with the full lip sync. Synthesia raised $12.5 million US, and they offer virtual avatars and also lip sync technology, where you can create any videos or use your existing videos. Third company was mentioned, PaperCup. They raised 11 million. They don't offer lip sync yet, but they've been able to automatically dub most of the media channels, and they've signed up some of the good contracts with a BBC, Discovery Channel, and others for those AI-powered video localization. Many other players on the market that you probably are aware of. Zoo Digital raised capital, BTI Studios, Iuna merged and acquired SDI, raised 116 million. LinQ, it's a startup from former BTI Studios founders, also raised just 1 million. Deluxe had 2 acquisitions from Sony. VSI acquired Vox Mundi. So there's a lot of events and acquisitions and technology advances, investment happening in the media localization space. It's a really hot topic to be in, and we're going to see more technology advances. Because of what's happening, video productions, dubbing, they need a system to work somewhere to edit the videos. And a company worth mentioning, Limecraft, they offered this workflow and cloud-based solution for video production. So they've been also featured in the media recently. But for anyone who is working without much worth checking them out. Live streaming. Of course, live streaming is booming. The live streaming increased by at least 34% just in the last year. And a good example worth mentioning, Taobao, which is one of the Alibaba group companies, they've launched a live streaming project to help farmers survive during the pandemic. And that's seen quite a good uptake. Now the streaming technologies are adding localization capabilities. If we look at Facebook, we look at Instagram, the localization of the live streams isn't there yet. But over the next year or two, we're going to see now popular streaming services adding capabilities of other languages. And if you look at Twitch statistics, which is one of the most popular streaming services, more than 50% of their streaming is already happening not in English. And we're going to see that trend continues because streaming not in English hasn't been possible before, but I give it 1 year before streaming services will add full support of the localization of the live streams. Another trend we see now emerging is live and virtual tours. So you could enjoy the virtual tour in different countries without having to be there, just by the tour guides. And interestingly enough, games started doing virtual tours in many languages inside. So you get this virtual experience of walking around a virtual environment and listening the tour in your own language. Events started to offer this virtual navigation environment, like this platform we are using today. It has some sort of virtual capabilities. Then we have semi-virtual events, but you would still have people appearing on stage with some virtual backgrounds behind them. And finally, this trend is still emerging. It's not there yet, but experiencing the event in a fully virtual concept will come to our Days One Live. Probably it's going to be maybe 2-3 years from now on, but you will see that adopting. Before the virtual reality will come to life, we will see a concept of augmented reality. Last year, to give you an example, Israeli president addressed his people using a projection, and it was done by a company called Omnivore. They're based in Seattle. So you get now this idea of virtual characters, or actually real characters, appearing near to you in augmented reality. You remember probably the game called Pokemon. So Pokemon was the virtual character, but now it's taken to humans and avatars. And an event worth mentioning called Virtual Being Summit, where all attendees were actually virtual characters. So we're seeing this concept of virtual hosts, virtual avatars, virtual characters actually replacing humans. And take another example, Deepak Chopra. He created his virtual character now to promote meditation and relaxation. And it talks with its voice, it looks, it has the same mimics, and we're going to see more and more of that coming to our lives. An interesting number: by 2020, artificial human startups have raised more than 320 million. So also this industry, together with multimedia localization, is attracting a lot of investors. Last year, also the Consumer Electronics Show, Samsung presented humanoid artificial intelligence assistants, chatbots that, again, look like humans. So you have these characters who could be running the events, they could be talking in different languages, and their lip would move exactly as a human being. That's the movies coming essentially to our lives, and it's happening already as we speak. So what I'd like to leave you with is a concept of hybrid reality. We're talking about localizations. We're talking about multimedia. We're talking about video. But humans will be able to interact with virtual characters. Humans will be able to interact just beyond the two-dimensional screen. Now we have this camera where you see my face, I see yours, and we are talking. In a couple of years, we will be able to interact with each other in the 3D space, even if we are not physically present in the same room. And another example I would like to mention is this character. The video that is currently playing on my screen is called Lil Michaela. It's a completely AI-powered character that writes songs. She has already more than 3 million followers on Instagram. She has like 7 songs already published on YouTube. And she has followers. She's virtual, she's drawn out, but she is there. And this is the reality we are currently living in. So what I'd like to ask you and ourselves, how ethical is it? Would the news channels that already have this characters concept that you could take a president of any country, put his face, make him speak in any languages, which makes it fun and cool and interesting, and you can make jokes out of it. But we're already at the stage where we cannot actually distinguish between, is it a real person? It speaks the same voice, it moves the same, but we're already at a point where we cannot distinguish where it's real or where it's not. And this will even improve further. So is it ethical? What risk does it pose? And can we do anything about it? So I would like to leave you with this question. I think I went through my slides a little bit quicker than I originally anticipated, but that will give us more time for questions and answers. And if you need any help with interpretation, voiceover, my team at Translit will be happy to look after you and I would be interested to continue the conversations with some of the like-minded peers in the industry.
Alex, that's definitely a hot topic. Thank you very much for bringing this. One question from my end. How can I be sure that it's you on the other end?
That's a good question. Well,
Okay.
I could have pinched you, but not remotely.
Okay, good. I think we already have the first question. And guys, I encourage you to go to Q&A session, answer your questions, and we'll also try to get one question or a couple of questions live. If you raise your hand, and my colleagues will add it to the screen. So, and yeah, the prize is a very nice book of 7 great habits of highly effective people. So let's see what the question is about. It's Mariana. That are the implications of all this technology for linguists and other people involved in localization?
Yeah, well, we're talking to interpreters and translators, and we get asked this question a lot. Is like, will I be out of job? The same question applied to machine translation before, and translators are still working. The interpreters will have to adapt, and there is a famous quote in the interpreting community that says interpreters will be not be replaced by technology, but by interpreters using the technology. So the implications is that people will have to adapt to the technology and have to use it, and without it, they will be out of a job. But essentially now we see the trend of synthetic speech, which means narrators are actually losing some of their jobs. Dubbing industry, while Netflix is investing in real dubbing, will be part of that will be replaced by the synthesized speech. So of course, some jobs will be lost, as with many AI systems, but at the same time, it will open up new and additional jobs in other sectors.
Okay, let's move to the next question then. It's from David Dorinek. David was a speaker on our previous event. When do we get the first dubbed cinema streaming service movie with AI adjusted lip sync?
At the moment,
Any insights, Alex?
The first full movie, I give it an estimation that a full movie could be done by the end of this year. We already see short movies like 10 to 12 minutes synthesized, but not a full kind of 1.5, 2 hour movies. But if not this year, that they will be out next year. I'm quite confident it's going to happen.
Okay. The question from Julia. Indeed, this was quite a popular topic in 2020. Would you agree that in 2021, with machine dubbing, we're still far from having automated voices that sound like real human actors, high quality acting?
That's actually not the case anymore. The synthetic speech has gone to a good level. The only difference now, some languages, you can still hear the kind of computerized voice, but for some languages, it's already done. Like, if you take Spanish, it's quite good. Russian as well. So, some languages already went past that stage of being indistinguishable by the human ear. And, one of the companies that does full automatic dub and syncing did it for full Discovery Channel platform. So, we didn't get the full movies, but there is already like an hour-long TV program that has fully synthetic voice. And if you listen to it for too long, you will hear some hints, but they're pretty much almost unnoticeable.
Okay. The third question from Stefan. Which of these new technologies will have the most impact on the localization industry in 2022, in your opinion?
It's a combination. The live captioning and transcription, that's the weakest part at the moment. So once you have a text, you can actually synthesize the voice, and the text to speech is actually at a very good level. So that technology advances already happen. When the speech to text improves, that's when we're going to see the change. But with a higher mark, it's still a weak point. So I believe the biggest advances will have in speech to text, because that's the weakest point, and that's the problem that the market is trying to solve at the moment.
And we have a question from V. Koleva. If the present is interaction through voice assistants, speech to text, what do you think is the future for us? Which is the next one?
The future is hybrid. people are longing for physical communication. And while we are thanking, like the guys at Smartcat for organizing virtual events, I can't wait for the conference to happen. And I believe that the future is actually a choice, whether you would like to experience the virtual event or experience the physical event, or have a choice of switch. And that's the kind of the hybrid concept I talked about, that event organizers are adding both physical experience and virtual. So we are lucky that we are now getting to choose where we want to travel or experience virtual concept or not. And the next stage would be, how far do we want to go? Is it just watching screen, or actually putting the glasses and walking around the conference as you would be there, and talking to the people who are actually a face but put on a 3D shape? I would like to try that, because I never, I just tried it at home, but actually talking to another person where both of us appear as virtual avatars in 3D space, it's just mind-blowing in my opinion.
I hope some of these technologies we'll be able to use for our work from home conference soon.
One day.
And the question from Kate: I think this is what everyone in our trade have in their mind these days. Lomel said that machine translation will only replace those humans who translate like machines. Do you think it's true?
It's translate like machines. Well, the concept of transcreation has always been there, that sometimes when you localize, you don't just translate. I mean, the translation works in the legal setting where you translate official documents. When we're talking about localizing, there is an element always of creativity, and that's the part that machine doesn't get. It learns, it improves, all of that, but the creative element is still what distinguishes a human from a machine. And the same thing with movies. You can't just translate the movie automatically. You get the meaning. So it works for news. It works for kind of official concept cards. But when you movie, you need to be creative. And that, I think, makes it safe from our point of view, that humans still need to work on that to make it truly localized with the creative element.
The questions are coming and coming, Alex. Just to remind you that you will need to pick up the best question. Try to memorize all of them. Question from Thomas: what advice do you have for small and medium-sized LSPs who would like to offer these services but have smaller R&D budgets than their larger competitors?
That's a good question, and that's what we at Translit are also exploring. We don't have the budget to go for the large enterprise solution, but Russia X is one of the company I mentioned in my slide. They offer free tools to try it out. Nuance, they also offer kind of some trials on their system. So there are tools and free resources available that you could start and play with before you go into full, before you acquire any system. Or you could actually play with AR platforms to develop on yourself using those free tools. So, just start with the free resources, add the technology if you can. Or, another thing you could do is just resell somebody else's services. That's what, some of the large enterprises, they allow LSPs to resell their services. And that's another way how do you get hands on that technology.
Alex, not sure if you heard, but we in Smartcat also aware of this trend, and one of our recent releases was dedicated to subtitles preview, when you can watch the video in side pane and translate subtitles in Smartcat. So this can be an option for someone as well. Okay, let's take a look on other questions. That's really a hot topic. How will cognitive services help drive these new technologies? Azure, AWS, etc.
I'm not sure if I understood the question.
Rodrigo, please expand on these. Your question is too short to...
well, the word cognitive has a couple of meanings, and the cognitive load. So I'm not sure. I can't answer because I didn't fully understand it.
Yeah, no problem. Rodrigo, maybe you want to ask it in live. Raise your hand. We will be glad to listen to you. We still have 5 minutes for questions. So, okay. What about AI solutions for rare languages that may not have enough language data for sufficient AI training? That's a challenge.
Yeah. Well, when you think of it this way, the systems that I presented today, they are sitting on top of natural language processing. So, the streaming, the multimedia localization, they sit on top of Google Translate, they sit on top of DeepL and all the other translation agents. So that is more underlying problem of those rare languages. And as you know, the languages keep getting better. And actually, one of the things that I was reading yesterday, just looking so, is that now machine translation from English into Russian is better than human translation. That's official. So machine translation from English into Russian is better than the human. It's just the number of benchmarks put. So the rare languages, they are added at the slow space of time, and we are not going to see the AI-powered dubbing or the AI-powered subtitling for those languages until it gets to an acceptable stage. But it's a matter of time.
There is a question from Paulina. I would love to know what Alex thinks are the ethical implications of such tools and solutions for companies that work with them, not users.
Yeah, and this is a question I raised at the end. And to be honest with you, from research, there are already a couple of startups that are actually combating the use of deepfakes. And one of them actually came from Ireland. There was another one that came from another country. I don't remember which, but there's two startups already detecting the deepfakes. And that's basically to counterside the ethical side of things. There is rumors that some of the presidents you're seeing already on the screen could be dubbed. And I'm not into conspiracy theories, but there is rumors that the Queen of Elizabeth, the Queen of UK, has been appeared on the screen as a deepfake video. Whether it's true or not, but those systems are already detecting the use of deepfakes, and they're getting so good that they're learning how to overcome. So the ethical question is that at some point we cannot say where what we are seeing in the news has been said by that person. And that person hasn't been even aware that they've appeared on that screen. So it's very unethical, and a regulation needs to happen around media, around news, to regulate it. In a creative environment with movies, it's acceptable, but when it goes to media or news or legal content, then what a regulation needs to happen. And at the moment, there is no regulation, so it's very controversial.
Rodrigo sent us additional message. Sorry, I meant speech-to-text automation, text-to-speech using cognitive services in particular.
Text-to-speech, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, the text-to-speech is already improving, and there is this concept of voice cloning. So in terms of speech-to-text, the technology is so advanced that it could add emotions, it could add the feelings. It's not just reading the text in the plain tone. So the technology is so advanced now, you could clone someone's voice and completely represent it, and you can add anger, you can add happiness, you could add exclamation where you want. So the system already gets the element of emotion, gets an element of tonality, and all the kind of subsections of the voice and audio that a human voice would have, making it for an average human being indistinguishable for some languages already.
Alex, so far it's a record in number of questions coming for the presenter. So let's choose the best question and make a giveaway.
Yeah, the question that happened just before Rodrigo, it was a lady answering it.
Paulina?
Yeah, I think Paulina.
About ethical implications.
Because that's the question that I want everybody to live with, and it's the right question to be asking for these technologies, because it's an area of great concern. That's the only concern with this that we have. The technology is always great for as long as it does good for the humanity. If the technology is used to manipulate somebody, to create fake news or other things, that's when a regulation needs to happen. So Paulina, you're getting the book for posing this question.
Congrats to Paulina. I hope you will enjoy it, and maybe it will be one of your topics that you will present with on some of the conferences.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much for having me. I hope it was interesting job full of information. I ran through it very quickly, but if anybody wants some of the additional slides, we could actually cut like 20 or 30 slides from the presentation to make it down to 20 minutes. If somebody wants to get additional information, feel free to reach out to me, and I could send you a copy of slides on LinkedIn or email.
It was really interesting and hot topic. Thank you very much, Alex. Looking forward to
enjoy the rest
you
of the conference.
Thank you.